Hi, I'm Justin.
Also, I hate the way my voice sounds, so if you can do whatever Photoshop does to voices, make me sound awesome.
And this is my lovely friend,
The beauty in the eyes of the beholder, and it's just about getting into the seat of being the beholder.
Hayley.
I don't think you have to be particularly perceptive. I just think you have to look up.
This podcast is mostly just her telling me stories.
If you expose yourself to the possibility that this might be really awkward, there can be something just really cool on the other side of it.
She thinks that her life and way of looking at things are
Oh, I was kind of waiting on you. I thought you were getting your stuff ready. You're waiting on me?
pretty normal.
You got to edit out all the misinformation about the Amish.
Maybe you can relate.
I would like a chance to re-sing the Amish Paradise.
If you want lighthearted stories
All right, you want to talk about goats?
and stream of consciousness,
I just woke up and needed some friends, and so I bought them.
then you're going to like the Sunny Side Up podcast.
Sunny side up, sunny side up, sunny side up, sunny side up.
So, if you're at all like me, you may feel that you're living in a world that can be a bit overwhelming and confusing at times. I'm also a huge fan of podcasts, documentaries, docudramas, stories, and of just information in general. Between all of that and the social media and news, sometimes our brains can feel like they're on overload. Hayley and I hope that this podcast can be something of an antidote to all of that. Like little jello shots of joy and distraction. None of it is too serious or really too informative. Mostly it's just two friends who have conversational chemistry talking about whatever enters the minds of relatively ADHD people. We hope you enjoy.
There was a thing in the Twilight Saga books, which I'm embarrassed to say.
You should be.
I did read. Well,
Okay.
I mean, there was all the hype, and I was like, well, I got to see what this is about. But there was a segment where something happened that was high adrenaline situation, and as soon as it was over, she was famished and starving. And the writer was saying, oh, yes, whenever you go through this stressful thing, you should eat. And I think in the books he takes her to eat something high calorie like pasta. I don't remember that part. Yeah, I remember the snacks in the books, right? This is where I go.
That's my girl. Yeah.
Team Jacob.
Yeah.
Whatever.
I have no. Yeah. I couldn't. I vaguely remember there was somebody named Jacob in the Twilight series.
He dated Taylor Swift in real life.
In real life, he did. Mm-hmm. Was he a werewolf or something?
In the movies.
Okay. In
Not
real
in real
life,
life.
did Taylor say he was a werewolf?
No, but it was Taylor dating Taylor in real life. And I'm not...
Taylor on Taylor crime is always the worst.
Well, in all of her songs about breakups where she's dissing other guys and kind of throwing people under
Wait,
the bus.
I thought that was all her songs. Does she have other ones?
And in this one about that Taylor is her regretting the breakup and saying I was wrong, that was bad. I wish I could go back and redo it.
Wait, what? Taylor said that she was actually... See, I don't listen to Taylor, so...
Shame on you.
I know. I'm missing out on, the greatest icon in American music right now, but I couldn't be more bored. But is she... So the ones... See, I only knew her in her early days. So
those were not my favorite.
Right. They were not my favorite.
Everybody's got their era,
bleed.
so that's not your era. We need to find your era.
Well, she's on era tour right now, right?
She is, but each of
Or
her
was.
albums kind of represents a different era,
Okay.
of her life. And if you can look at the albums and kind of see what you're processing in your life, where you can kind of connect with what she's experienced, because
never
she did a
one
good
thing.
job of writing out every experience she's been through,
Sure.
which is a bold thing. That's like reading your diary to everyone on the planet.
Except, hold on for 2.5 seconds. Don't you think that's the whole point? Not the whole point. That's a little bit
It's
broad.
half the point.
It's half the point of art is to express something on the inside to come to the outside. And in that half of the point, there's a lot of it of let me process my experience, which will help other people relate to me and me to them, because we all go through X, Y, and Z.
Sure.
So, I mean, that's kind of what artists do. It'd be a little bit like a plumber showing up when you have a leaky pipe, and then they fix the leaky pipe, and you being like, oh my God, that was so brave of you to go in.
It is.
and-
It is still brave. It's not less brave just because it's what you signed up to do. It's still valiant.
It's still very brave to fix the leaky pipe if you're a plumber. I'm just saying, when the plumber showed up, that's kind of what I was expecting. If the plumber showed up and sung me a song about all his high school girlfriends that kept leaving him for no good reason or whatever, I would be disappointed. I'd be like, huge kudos to you, sir. Your voice is spectacular. Well, if we're Taylor Swifting him, I would be like, your voice needs a lot of work.
Is mid, but
it's
your
very
writing
mid.
is spectacular.
Yeah, your writing is okay.
Her voice is great now.
Her voice is great now. But that's, yeah. Anyways, back to artists. That's what they do.
But it's...
So is it really that brave?
It's not a question of size. It is a matter of weight ratio, right? Not to go all Monty Python on this. It's the degree to which she puts it out on Front Street. Because with any artist or any person, you get to choose what you're putting out there, and we filter it and we put our best. We put the highlight reel out there.
Right. Make it
she was a person who was a little more willing to kind of put everything and show all the vulnerabilities. It's one thing I liked about the Avett brothers, who are my true passion when it comes to music, because they were really transparent about some of the less savory moments and experiences and things that they've done. And I think that takes a lot of courage.
Tell me about the Avett brothers, because I know them in name only. I remember
like banjos, stand-up bass.
Shaggy brown hair, and like
from time to time.
Suits, right?
Yeah, and sometimes.
Okay.
But what would folk rock maybe is the genre, but mountain music sort of.
Yes.
They're from North Carolina.
Yeah.
But
so in their songs they would talk about some of their less savory experiences, or like
sure.
Okay.
Like he has a song about forgiveness, or they have lyrics where they're singing about love, but it's not always romantic love. Sometimes it's asking their father, like, "Hey, do you have a favorite?" And the dad says, "I loved you and I'm proud of all of you, but in different ways." And it's which that's obviously a nicer thing to write about, but sometimes they're writing about shame. Like there's a whole song and the title is Shame.
Wow.
Or The Weight of Lies. The weight of lies will bring you down. And it's, nobody wants to really discuss the things you've done that were regrettable or that you're embarrassed of, unless maybe perhaps you're trying to send a message to the person that you hurt with it. Maybe that's part of the agenda. I don't know.
Yeah.
But with Taylor Swift, some of her songs are not even about her relationships. Lavender Haze is a phrase that she took because she was watching that show Mad Men.
Yep.
And it was a phrase they used. She's like, "What is that?" She looks it up. She likes the concept, and so she writes the song to that.
Wait, I watched Mad Men. Remind me about Lavender Haze.
It was just a phrase about that early part of love where things feel kind of like magical and transcendental and great. And it was a phrase that was common in that era, so she writes a song to it. Tolerate It is a song that she wrote after reading the book Rebecca, which I haven't read, but is a classic to a lot of people. But it's about a relationship dynamic between a younger woman and an older man, where she feels like she's giving her best, and he is very lukewarm about it at best. So she writes this song about this book that she read that impacted her so much. So some of the songs are not even about her relationships. I'm going to have to give a lot of credit to Taylor Swift because I've learned all of this year just by living with other Swifties and like osmotically. I did not choose to learn this information.
There was some osmosis going on.
Yeah, it was around me and I just absorbed it, and then I just kind of became a big
Swiftie. Apparently, I mean, you've become.
I am.
You're on the like.
I was drafted.
Yeah, you're an evangelist for her, because I am like your quintessential. I think I'm the right kind of person for an evangelist to go after, where I don't have like deep hatred and like violently oppose. I don't have anything like that strong. I'm just kind of meh.
Do you know what? Sometimes that's the hardest person to convert. The one who's not strongly opposed, but who is, like, you already know a lot of the things about her.
Yeah.
And you're still very...
I'm still meh.
Yeah.
I did watch Ollie and I watched a good documentary on her.
Miss Americana?
In 23. Maybe? I don't know. I don't remember what it was called.
Was it on Disney Plus?
Maybe. I thought it was on Netflix, but whatever it was on. It was a great documentary, and sort of like a lot of her like sitting at the piano and then writing and singing. You really saw her work ethic. That's the one thing I do remember is like she writes and sings and produces like
that's
when
a freaking
she's not
gift.
sleeping.
That's a freaking gift. Like she's phenomenal.
She just like, this is a thing that I do. I love doing it, or I can't help but do it, and I'm just and I'm making $1 zillion, and I'm just gonna like. Yeah, and I'm in my prime years. I'm going to just, that part I respected. And I thought it was really interesting because I love, like, if you know me, you know, like, any movies based on true stories, docudramas, docuseries, documentaries, but especially, anyways, if it's about a real story, real person, I'm so in. And I thought it was interesting, and I was like, oh, it's kind of like an intimate glimpse into her life and all this stuff. And when I walked away, I wasn't like a Swiftie. I was just like, oh, that was a cool, good documentary. I didn't have any more affinity for music. I felt like I knew a little something more about her.
Right.
Hello, lovely friends. Thank you so much for hanging out with us. And it would mean the world if you would tell other people about this podcast and maybe even spam your social media accounts with just how much you're enjoying it. If you are, of course. Also, commenting and rating us on whatever platform you're downloading or streaming from is incredibly helpful to a little startup podcast like this one. On the other hand, if you are dissatisfied with your listening experience, please leave all of that hate on someone else's podcast. Just maybe to confuse them a little bit, right? But most of all, we hope you keep looking up and looking for the sunny side of life.